So we're continuing with the series on the Das Avatar, and today we'll talk about the seventh avatar, and that is Lord Ramachandra. So we can start with this verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, with 9th canto, 10th and 3rd verse. And we can recite this together. Tasyanu charitam rajan Rishibhistattvadashivi Shrutam iva nitam puri Taya sitapatenu.
O King Parikshit, the transcendental activities of Lord Ramachandra have been described by great saintly persons who have seen the truth. Because you have heard again and again about Lord Ramachandra, the husband of Mother Sita, I should describe these activities only in brief. Please listen.
So we can understand from this verse that Shukadev Goswami is saying to Parikshit Maharaj that you have heard the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra again and again. And so in this, in the Bhagavatam, he dedicates 2 chapters to Lord Ramachandra. But there's hundreds of chapters dedicated to Lord Krishna. And the reason is, as he's saying, you've heard the pastimes again and again, because this is very common. Lord Ramachandra, his pastimes would be recited regularly, every single day, in fact, especially in the traditional days in Bharat. People used to gather in the evenings and discuss Lord Ramachandra's pastimes because they're so glorious. And they set the example of how to live in this world as human beings. So I wanted to very briefly go through his pastimes because we've done it a couple of times before. And I wanted to also look at some of the lesser known facts of Ramayana, which have incredible lessons to teach us. So if we go through the historical account, and if anybody would like to share any of these pastimes, I'll be very happy if you wanted to speak about Lord Ramachandra. Please don't feel shy. If you do want to interject and mention any of these pastimes, I'll be very happy for you to do so. Anyway, there was a king. Shukadev Goswami starts with the history of kings before Dashrath. Anyway, there was a king called Dashrath who ruled his capital from, his kingdom from capital called Ayodhya. He had many wives, but there were 3 principal wives. He didn't have any sons, so he was a little bit disturbed that how will this tradition, how will our dynasty continue? And so they performed a very special yajna from which a personality came and gave special sweet rice, which was going to be the cause of the appearance of his children. And he distributed the sweet rice amongst the 3 wives, and they gave birth to, or 4 personalities appeared. And they are Ramachandra, who appeared to Kaushalya, Bharat, who appeared to Kaikai, and the twins, Lakshman and Shatrughna, appeared to Sumitra. All of these 4, as we've discussed, are incarnations of Lord Krishna, of the first Chaturvyuh. So that we've talked about before. The 4 princes, they grew in valiant and chivalrous, into valiant and chivalrous warriors. They were trained in the martial arts of fighting under the guidance of Vashishta Muni in the Gurukul. And the children were really well behaved. They were very, very sweet and loving, and everybody in the kingdom adored them very much. In due course of time, Ramachandra was married to Mother Sita, and they lived for many years in Ayodhya very happily. One day, the king, he realized that he's growing old, and he saw the glorious character of Lord Ramachandra, and he wanted to make Ram the next king. So the announcement was made to the palace, to the kingdom, that Ramachandra will be made king the following day. And he would retire from his royal duties. And everybody was overjoyed because Ramachandra was so well loved by all of the citizens. So they rejoiced in this event that was going to take place. However, there was somebody not happy in the palace, and that was actually the maidservants of KK. Her name was Mantra. And she thought that if Ramachandra became king, then her queen, KK, would lose her status as the favorite queen, and hence she would also suffer in the loss of the status, as a result of the loss of the status. And she convinced KK that this is a plot against her and her son Bharat, and that she should demand that the king grants her 2 wishes that had been given to her before by the king, but she hadn't availed of those wishes. And now is the time to avail of those 2 wishes. And eventually, she was able to convince KK that it would be good if your son Bharat became the king. And so KK demanded from Dashrath those 2 wishes to be granted. She went into an angry room and she lied there on the floor, as we can see in this diagram here, this painting. And Dashrath came into that room. He was wondering what's going on. Why are you so upset? We got such great news of Ramchandra becoming king. And the wife, KK, she demanded, you granted me 2 wishes. I want those 2 wishes to be granted to be. And Dashrath said, yes, what are those 2 wishes? I want my son Bharat to be made the king. And I want Ramchandra to go to the forest for 14 years. Banish him. Dashrath was shocked. How could he live without Ram? Her words were very cruel and they struck him. KK, he couldn't say anything. KK called Ram into the palace and broke the news to him. Ram was not upset at all. He's Maryadan Pushottam, and he's the most calmest personality. Even though he took the role of a human being, his personality was amazing, absolutely second to none. And he tried to console his father. He said to KK, you shouldn't have even bothered my father. If you had told me to go to the forest, I would have obeyed your instruction. You're no less than my mother. You are my mother. And Sita and Lakshman also joined Ramachandra in the forest. Ram was trying to persuade Sita, you just stay in the palace. But she wouldn't have any. I'd rather be in the forest with you than in the palace without you. I'm your wife, I'm your shadow. So I will be always with you. So he granted her to also go with him. And Lakshman took a vow that he will not sleep for 14 years. And he will look after, he will serve his older brother, which he did. It's amazing. Amazing attitude of service, which we can learn a lot from. So they went to the forest. They lived there for 13 years very happily. Simple living, high thinking. Of course, they're the lordships, so that's natural. But they showed how to live with nature. And quite interesting, the current issues that we are facing in this world with COVID-19, how there's so many reports saying that people are moving from the cities and going into the countryside more. And this was Lord Ramachandra's lifestyle. And also it's predicted in the Bhagavatam that cities will become a little bit vacant during Kali Yuga and people will go more into the forests and the countrysides. Anyway, they lived there for the first 13 years very nicely until the 14th year. And the 14th year, things happened which made this pastime very, very interesting indeed. There was a demon called Suparna who became very attracted to Lord Ramachandra, and she wanted to marry him. But between Ram and Lakshman, they toyed with her, and she became angry. She tried to harm Sita. At that time, Lakshman cut off her nose and her ears. She ran off to her brother Ravan. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So then Ravan actually sent a deer to Ramachandra. His name was Maricha, who was Marichi, that's right, Marichi, who didn't want to take part in this, but Ravan threatened him, "I'll kill you." And Marichi said, "Well, that's all right. I'd rather be killed by Ramachandra rather than you, because he's the Supreme Lord." So he disguised himself as a deer. He lured Ram away from Sita, as well as Lakshman. Lakshman had to go because Sita was getting very anxious about Ram. The deer was very clever. He could mimic Ram's voice, and he was doing that. "Help me, Lakshman, help me." And Sita would listen and think, "Oh my goodness, he's in trouble. Lakshman, go and help." And she was saying some really terrible things, and she persuaded Lakshman to go. And there's some lovely pictures, drawings, paintings. Eventually, Ram killed the deer, and Lakshman eventually went and Ram, because Sita's words were very cruel. In the meantime, Ravan came disguised as a sage and eventually kidnapped Sita. Lakshman had drawn a Lakshman Rekha around Sita, but this Ravan, disguised as a Brahmin sage, was very clever, and he managed to persuade Sita to come out of that protective circle, and she was kidnapped. And Lakshman could not console Ram when they returned to where they left Sita, and then realized that Sita had been kidnapped. Ram was really very, very emotional, showing how in this world human beings are usually overcome by emotions. So this was one of the pastimes that he exhibited. And later on, he took the help of the monkey army headed by Sugriv and Hanuman, and they looked for Sita. Eventually, they found Sita in Lanka, and there Hanuman was the one to actually find her. And then they reported back to Ram. Sita had grown thin. She'd been living in one of the palaces. She was in
How long did it take?
one of the gardens of Lord Ravan, and he would say terrible things to her. He would threaten her. "If by the end of the year you do not agree, my cooks will serve you for my dinner." So he was quite a nasty piece of work. But Hanuman pacified Sita. "Don't worry, Ram will come. We will come. We will cross the ocean, and we will defeat the demon." He offered her, "I can take you back to Ramachandra right now. I'll fly you back." But Sita wouldn't have it. She said, "No, Ram should come and defeat me. I cannot take the service of any human, any man, any personality apart from Ramachandra. He's my husband." So in this way, Ram came to the shore of Rameshwar, and he made his army of monkeys build a bridge to cross over into Sri Lanka. And they did that. They then fought they wrote the name of Ram on each stone, and those stones floated, and then they crossed over into Lanka. And then there was a tremendous fight between the demon army and Ramachandra's army of monkeys. And Ramachandra eventually defeated Ravan. He said to him, "Oh, Ravan, you resemble a dog. A hound steals food from the kitchen when the owner is out. Similarly, you stole my wife Sita when I was away. Therefore, on this day, I shall send you to the kingdom of death." So in this way, Ramachandra enjoyed actually a fight with Ravan. This is one of the Leelas that takes place in Ramayana. The Lord's chivalrous mood is invoked, and he enjoys this pastime of fighting with the demon. So this is one of the wonderful paintings which shows the destruction of Ravan, destructing the navel where his life heirs resided. So Sita and Ramachandra were reunited, and they came back to Ayodhya on a beautiful moon, but a beautiful pushpa plain, flower made of flowers, and a swan, and they were beautifully greeted on their return by all the residents of Ayodhya, especially the mothers who were waiting, especially Kaikai, because she realized she made a terrible mistake. And Bharat was mortified when he found out that Ramachandra was meant to go to the forest, or made to be banished to the forest by his own mother. He was absolutely distraught. How can you do this, my dear mother? And his mother realized that she'd made a terrible mistake. So whilst Ramachandra was the king, all mental and bodily miseries disappeared. Disease, old age, bewilderment, fear, fatigue were completely absent. Death itself did not come for those who did not want it to. And we've heard about this glorious Ram Raja. He was the ideal king, ideal father. His incarnation was to show all types of idealisms. And our Guru Maharaj used to love reciting the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. Ramachandra Bhagwan ki jai. So some of the untold pastimes, you may have heard of these pastimes, you may not have. And some of them are very, very interesting, and I wanted to share them with you. Because you will have heard the normal pastimes of Lord Ram. So let's look at some of the pastimes which are not so well heard of. Dasharatha and Kaushalya had long before a daughter. They had named her Shanta. Shanta means peace, but of course there was no peace in Dasharatha's life. This is not mentioned in the Valmiki Ramayana, but other Ramayans, especially those which have been written in the south of India, Bharat, do mention this, and it's also mentioned in the Mahabharata. And this daughter is not so well known because actually a good friend of Dashrath called Romapad, he was a king who ruled another state as well. And they were very good friends, and he had many sons, but he didn't have any daughters, and he longed for a daughter. And one day he met with Dashrath, and he begged him, please give me your daughter. And how wonderful these pastimes are, how very inconceivable for us to understand. Dashrath agreed, yes. He was so generous and kind-hearted. He gave his own daughter to King Romapad. And later on, this daughter actually married a great sage called Rishyashinga, who was very instrumental in giving children, the sons, to Dashrath, because he performed the yajna, which invoked the blessings of the Lord, and hence the personality came with the sweet rice, which was given to Dashrath, who then distributed it amongst his wives. So that's interesting pastime about the daughter. Another pastime that perhaps may not be so well known is that Lakshman never ever saw the face of Sita. When Ravan kidnapped Sita, she was very clever. She threw her jewelry on the ground so that Ram and Lakshman would be able to trace out where she's been kidnapped to. So Ramachandra would find this jewelry and he would say to Lakshman, look, Lakshman, this is the necklace of Sita. Look, these are the bangles. And Lakshman, he wouldn't recognize anything. Eventually, he showed, they found the anklets of her lotus feet. And Ram showed this to Lakshman. He said, ah, yes, I recognize this. This is Sita's. And Lakshman would be very surprised. Ram would be very surprised. How is it that you don't recognize the bangles, but you recognize the anklets? And Lakshman said, well, I've never looked at her face in my whole life. I've simply looked at her lotus feet, and that's why I recognize her anklets. This is Bharatiya culture, Maryada. This was the respect that was given to the mothers. So Lakshman regarded Sita as his mother, older brother's wife. So very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So Jatayu, another fact that may not be so well known, Jatayu's sacrifice. It's very commonly known that he fought with Ravan, but he was an old bird, a vulture. That's right. He saw Ravan kidnapping Sita, and he knew he wasn't going to win this fight, but he knew he had to delay Ravan kidnapping Sita by a certain amount of time, because the Muhurat, the auspicious time for Ram to again win back Sita, wasn't there for another 48 minutes. So he knew he had to fight Ravan in order to delay the kidnapping of Sita. So he fought a valiant fight. And when he had been injured, Ravan won the fight, he kidnapped Sita, but he had been delayed by this essential 48 minutes. So Ram found Jatayu. Initially they thought, who is this demon? He must be the one who kidnapped Sita. But then they realized this is Jatayu who fought with the demon who kidnapped Sita. And Jatayu's prayer, look at this prayer. My dear Lord, please forgive me that I could not execute my service to the best of my ability. I failed in my service. But I tried, and I could tell you from my knowledge of Shastra, the time in which she is leaving now is an auspicious time. Whatever you have lost in this time, you will gain back. So this was the mood of Jatayu. He spent in pure devotion to the Supreme Lord, and he gained the ultimate destination. And even in that condition, he wasn't thinking, I am trying to serve Ram by protecting Sita. Why am I dying? Why isn't Ram coming to protect me? He just did his best to serve. And even when he met Ramachandra, when he was dying, he gave such sweet words to pacify the Lord. So we can learn a lot from this. Sometimes we go through difficulties in our devotional service and we're thinking, my dear Lord, I'm only trying to serve you. Why can't you help me? Sometimes that's our mood, right? But these great souls, they don't have such a mood. Their mood is, whatever the Lord wants, that's fine. I will do my best. That's just like Prabhupada. When he first came to the West, how much he struggled. For over a year, there was hardly any income, hardly any people. He kept moving from one place to another, he kept getting harassed here and there. Yet we don't see any of his prayers saying, why are you doing this, my dear Lord? I've just simply come to serve you. Why can't you help me? The mood was, whatever you want me to do, you make me dance as you want me to dance. So it's a nice way to approach our devotional service. We should continue with our service despite any difficulties that we may face.
Haribol Prabhu,
Hare Krishna.
I need to ask a question
Oh,
on
please.
what you just said.
Yes.
You said that when we are in a service mood, we should not ask anything from the Lord. But on the other hand, when Draupadi was being derobed, you remember, they said that, oh, because you didn't ask, that's why I didn't intervene. So a bit of contradiction there.
Very good point. Yeah, that's a good point. That's right. Until you surrendered completely, I couldn't come. And then when you surrendered completely, I ran there on the tears of your chariot, on the chariot of your tears. I like that. Yes, good point. There's different levels of faith that the Lord will, whatever's happening is for the best. And I think Draupadi's situation was slightly different in the sense that it was to demonstrate that you may have the most strongest husbands in the world, and you may have before you the greatest personalities, Bhishma, Dronacharya, Vidur, yet there is no protection in this world other than Krishna. So I think the message that was given or the message that was to be delivered with the situation surrounding Draupadi is a little bit different. Because in this situation, Jatayu knew he had to do a service. And in this situation, his mood of service was very, very important. So the Lord is teaching us that in this circumstance where Jatayu faced a situation where he could have walked away, he could have just left it alone and just told Ramachandra that, yes, actually, I saw the whole situation and I can report to you that Ravan kidnapped Sita. He could have just done that. But no, what he did, he went way beyond any call of duty. He did pure bhakti out of pure love, and he fought to sacrifice his complete life. So it's a different scenario, basically. Draupadi also being in a female body, the situation, the circumstances are a little bit different. She, in her situation, had no option at all except to turn to the Supreme Lord for protection. Whereas Jatayu, he had an option. He could have backed off and said to the Lord, thank you for protecting me. Ravan didn't kill me, but I know where Sita is. But no. Instead, he showed by his mood of service, I'm willing to sacrifice everything for you. Does that make sense, Sam?
Well said, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Haribol.
If there's anybody else who's got a question or realization on this, and thank you, Sam, for asking, because actually that was a really good question. Really good question. Everybody else add to that? Really good question. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that.
You know when
Yes.
Lord Ram went to exile,
Yes.
he actually told KK that because of Ravana to send me to exile.
Right.
So that's why she was compelled to take those two wishes that she had taken, that Dashrath had given her.
Right.
So that is the time when she went to angry room. Before then, Lord Rama told KK, please, my father is not going to let me go. Please help me. So KK actually pretended to be angry and let Lord Rama grant his wishes.
Interesting.
Because if,
I knew that.
as a mother, he
Mm.
said, "You are my mother,
Mm.
and you help me."
Mm.
And that's the time Keke played her part towards this, because he wanted the 14th year Ravan's war.
Mm.
That's what it is.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that, Suresh.
And Sita, when she crossed that line,
Mm.
Lakshman Rekha,
Mm.
actually Agni Dev took Sita ji,
That's right. The real,
and actually Sita ji was sort of not the Sita.
correct. The real Sita.
Agni Dev had Sita ji,
Yes,
and this was a pretend Sita ji, which
that's
Ravana took.
That's correct. That one we've heard because that is in the Kurma Purana. I think it's the Kurma Purana? One of the Puranas. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he
I
came...
may be wrong, I'm not sure.
You're right, you're right. That one is absolutely correct because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu found the scripture which specifies this particular pastime. When she crossed the Lakshman Rekha, Agnidev came, as you said, took her to the heavens.
Yes,
Replaced her with Maya Sita. You're absolutely
that's right. And that's why, you know, when they did the Havan
That's right.
for Lord Rama,
Good
no,
point.
and then she went back into Agni.
That's right. And the real Sita was brought back by Agni Dev.
Agni Dev, yes.
Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. Anybody else would like to share anything?
Hello.
Hare Krishna. Pritam.
Yeah. Because Kaikai was loving Ram so much than everybody else in the world.
He was.
She was standing, he was playing outside, and she think it's too hot, and she brings some drink for Ram to take it there. And while she was watching them playing, and she was lost. So after more than half an hour or whatever, when Rama saw Kaikeyi is standing, he ran quickly. He said, "Mom, mother, you are standing in the hot." And she says, "Yeah." Oh, then she wake up and she said, "Do you know that I love you so much in the world, more than everybody?" And then Rama knew that Kaikeyi loved me so much and she can fulfill my wish.
Okay.
Says, "If I can tell you to, if I have any wish from you, can you do it?" She says, "Of course." But he says that, you know, everybody will be angry with you. Nobody like your name, or everybody will hate you. She says, "I don't care." And he says that you will lost everything. She says, "I don't mind, you know, because I love you and I know." So when she come back, and then she realized that two wishes she got it, you know, that's why she had a wish from the Dasrath. And why Rama got 14 years? Because Ravana got 14 years in the world to live. And if within that 14 years, if no one kill him, then he was Amar forever. So that's why that wish fulfilled. And then Bharat will sit on the crown.
Yes, because he came as a human being, not as a supreme lord. There is, yeah, okay, I can sort of understand that. But of course, the Lord is always the Lord. Nobody can kill him. But I hear what you're saying, because he came in the form of a human being. He was playing the role of a human being. He was crying as well when Sita left, when Sita was kidnapped. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Pritam.
No problem. Beautiful.
Okay, very good. So I'll carry on a little bit. We've got a few more minutes. I want to see if we can get through some of these. Now, Ramachandra showed how glorious he is in terms of gratitude. When Ram was ordered to leave the kingdom, Sumatra took him in the chariot ridden by the horses. And at that time, Guha came. Guha was a tribal warrior chief. And he had heard that Ram had been banished. And he brought lots of different things for Lord Ramachandra. Food, he bought beds, he bought different things to worship Lord Ram. And Ram was very happy. And he said to Goya, well, thank you for bringing all this. I really accept all of this, but I can't accept any. I really appreciate what you brought for me, but I've taken a vow. I will not live, I will not sleep on a bed. I only live simply, eat simple things, wear kosher grass, etc. I can't use any of these gifts. So you can take them back, except the food. I'll keep the food because we want to feed our horses that food. So see the glory of Ram. He cares for every living being. He showed his gratitude to the horses for serving. And we should have a similar mood. If somebody does something nice to us, we must show gratitude and must remember that gratitude. Not that, thank you very much, and next day we stab somebody in the back. It's not a good way to be. Ramachandra showed the ultimate in gratitude. Even to Jatayu. Jatayu was dying, he died, and Ramachandra performed his last rites like he would for his father. He was such a, and we'll see a little bit later what he did for somebody else as well. Okay. Now, another thing that happened, Vibhishan approached him. Just before the battle, they were going to cross into Lanka. So they were making the bridge. At that time, Vibhishan came because Ravan had actually thrown him out of the kingdom because of his loyalty to Ram. He kept saying to Ravan, give Sita back. You're doing a wrong thing here. And Vibhishan came and everybody was suspecting Vibhishan to be a spy. And Ramachandra would ask the opinions of his generals, especially Sugriv. So he asked Sugriv, what should I do with Vibhishan? Tie him up. Sugriv would say, he's a spy. So when Vibhishan came before Ram, Ram gave him a big hug. And Sugriv, he was upset. He said, Ramachandra, you asked for my advice, but you didn't follow it. Because they were, Sugriv actually would, Ramachandra would consult Sugriv and usually listen to him. Sugriv was very surprised. What happened? And Ram said, no, I did follow what you said. It's just I tied him up, not with ropes. I tied him up in my arms. Because the one who is tied up in my embrace will never leave me. So this is a really, really glorious activity, a pastime performed by Lord Ramachandra. He actually could, of course, understand the heart of Vibhishan, that Vibhishan was his devotee, and he came to take shelter of Ramachandra. And Ramachandra, he gave full shelter. So in the same way, our shelter is only one, and that's the Supreme Lord. He's our only shelter. We won't get shelter from anything in this material world. The wealth, our possessions, our job, nothing will give us shelter. And the only thing that will give us shelter is Lord. So we can also similarly get tied up by the embrace of the Lord. It's a wonderful, wonderful pastime. Another one is, we know the pastime of Daksha and how he insulted his daughter, Sati. He insulted Shiva first, and then Daksha is a Prajapati, very important personality in this universe. He was performing a sacrifice and he didn't invite Shiva, but Sati still went to that sacrifice and she ended up giving up her body. So why did that happen? There's a pastime that when Ramachandra was looking for Sita, he was in such a tearful mood. He was always crying, lamenting. And just like a normal human being, because he came in the form of a human being. So he was very, very sad. At that time, Lord Shiva and Mother Sati approached him. From a distance, they paid their obeisances. They just wanted to pay obeisances. And Sati actually turned to Lord Shiva and said, why is the Lord lamenting so much? Why is he behaving like an ordinary human being? Is he really hankering for Sita? And Shiva said, Lord Shiva said, no, this is the Supreme Lord. Sati said, I want to test him. So she actually took the form of Sita, went in front of Ram, trying to confuse him, or fool him. Ram knew who she was, and he asked her, how is my dear Shiva? And Sati became a little bit ashamed of herself, and she went back to Shiva. She didn't tell Lord Shiva what she'd done, but Shiva knew what she had done. And Shiva was thinking, Sati has taken the form of my mother, Sita. So whenever I look at her, I actually see Sita now, who is my mother. So Sati is no longer, I cannot see her as my wife anymore. I see her only as my mother. And then he wouldn't let her sit by her side at the yagyas, or he then went into meditation for thousands of years without Sati. Sati would get very upset with Lord Shiva. And eventually this pastime took place where Daksha insulted Shiva, and Sati went to the yagya of Daksha, her father, and father insulted her, and she gave up her life. So this is one of the reasons. And then later on, Sati came back as Parvati, performed tapasya to win back the hand of Lord Shiva. So this is something that's not very commonly known. Another one is, and this might have to be the last one. Lakshman, he learns, actually we can just quickly go through them. Lakshman, when Ravan was defeated, Ramachandra said to Lakshman, go and take instructions from Ravan. Lakshman was shocked. Ravan? Ravan? The nasty Ravan who kidnapped Sita, Mother Sita? Yes, go and take instructions. So he approached Ravan, but he approached him in a little bit of an arrogant way, actually. He approached him at his head and not very humble. So Ravan didn't pay any attention. He was on his deathbed, but he didn't pay any attention to Lakshman. Lakshman came back to Ram and said, he's got nothing to say to me. How did you approach him? Lakshman said to Ram said to Lakshman. So Lakshman explained. He said, no, wrong way. Go and approach him in a humble mood, touch his feet, touch his feet, and beg for instructions. And Lakshman was thinking, what is going on here? Anyway, he went back and he did what Lord Ramachandra said, because he always obeyed the instructions of Lord Ramachandra. And at that time, Ravan gave him instructions, which were amazing instructions, because Ravan actually was very learned. It's just that he became too proud of himself. So he instructed a few things. These are the two things that I wanted to share with you. That two important lessons. Things that are bad for you seduce you easily. We know that, right? When we shouldn't be doing something, we do it. Watching television is one of them. Eating sweets is another thing. You run towards those things. So if we defer the bad actions as much as possible and avoid them, that's a very good lesson to learn. Try to defer the negative things in our life, which won't help us in our bhakti. Things that, on the other hand, are good for us, they fail to attract us. We shun them. So Ravan said, you must do good action without any delay and as much early as possible. So this is very good. Our Guru Maharaj used to often instruct us, do bhakti now. Do bhakti now. You may not have the taste for it, but do it now, because that's good for you. Don't defer this. Defer other things, but don't defer this. That's a very nice lesson. So let's just quickly go through the other things, if a couple of minutes. Oh, this is a nice pastime. Suparna, she, in her next life, she became so attracted to Ram, she actually developed Madhurya Ras for the Lord. And although she was obnoxious towards Sita, because she was a demon, because she had this tinge of Madhurya Ras for Ram, in Krishna Leela, she was given a birth as Kubja. Kubja was the hunchback in Mathura. And the day that Krishna went to Mathura with Balaram, they met Kubja, who is the hunchback, not very attractive. But Krishna, he saw some potential in Kubja. And he asked her, what are you doing? I make the best oils. And these oils are for Kamsa because he's going to fight with you today. He wants the best oils. Give me the oils so that I can use it with my brother. And Kubja was so attracted to Krishna, she immediately gave. And Krishna became so pleased with her. And then he stepped on her toe and he just gently lifted her, made her the most beautiful looking personality in the world. So she, although she was crooked, Krishna saw her potential. In the same way, we are very fortunate because Srila Prabhupada, he came out from Bharat, came to the West because he saw our potential. He saw that we are crazy, we're crooked, we're foolish, but still you can serve the Lord. We may be all of those crazy things, but we can still serve the Lord and purify our existence. It's a very nice lesson to learn from Supanak. One more. I think this is the last one. So this is where they made the bridge. And the squirrel was also helping. And the monkeys were making these huge rocks, stones, and placing them, cutting them in shape. And Ramachandra was so impressed by their hard work because they were working day and night. They would write the name of Ram on every stone, place it on the ocean. But there was this little squirrel who was also helping. And he was just taking a few pebbles here and there. And a couple of the monkeys, or one of the monkeys especially, went to the squirrel and said, look, I almost stepped on you, just step out of the way. And the squirrel said, no, I have to help. This is also my service. I love Ram, and I want to also contribute to this bridge. But they wouldn't listen to the squirrel. Eventually, they threw the squirrel away. But when they threw him, actually, he fell into the hands of Ram. And Ram was holding the squirrel. And he chastised the monkeys, saying, the squirrels, you don't understand. The squirrel's doing as much as you are because he's putting his full effort. But his service is also valuable because they're filling the small gaps left between the huge stones. And the tiny grains of sand that they're bringing also will bind the whole structure. So don't just think that your service is important. His service is very important. And then Ram gently stroked the back of the squirrel and he pacified the squirrel. You go and you continue with your service. And that's one of the reasons why squirrels have these 3 lines on their back. In Bharat, not here. Fair enough. Okay. Ramachandra Bhagwan ki jai. So thank you very much, dear devotees. If there's any quick questions or anything anybody like to share, please do feel free to do so. Otherwise, we can chant the Shinga Kavach.
One thing I've heard when I was listening to some lectures is that Ravan's family actually was a dysfunctional family because Suparna wanted Ram without Sita and Ravan wanted Sita without Ram. So, you can understand the mentality of that family. Some like people will say.
Good point. Thank you very much, dear devotees. And Karuna, Gundar.
Hare Krishna.
Very good. Hare Krishna. So let's
Thank you.
especially we wanted to pray. No, thank you. Thank you, Prithu. Thank you, Suresh, for sharing. We wanted to specially pray for Prithi's relative. Let's just get the name. Name is Lakshman Govind Vaja, passed away yesterday. So we'd like to pray that the devotee will look after this wonderful soul. So thank you very much. Okay.
Shri Lakshmi Nrsimha Deva ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj